right, so before we carry on with the next step, I want to show you something that I did forget to do when I sewed up the interior lining. I forgot to put on the inside my Made in Canada label. So what I did was, just on one of the edges, I just unpicked it, put the label in, and then just stitched it up again. So now we'll just take this interior lining piece and just put it aside for the moment. So now we're going to be preparing the front pocket. This is the feature front pocket. And before I forget, I want to make sure that I have my bag tag out. So to prepare your zipper, there's measurements in the pattern of what size zipper. Make sure, because it does not say in the pattern, make sure that you put your zipper pull on first and then just stitch down each edge to make sure that it's secure and the zipper pull does not come off. Now I'm using this zipper pull and I get all my hardware from Waywack. This is a different kind of zipper pull because I'm going to be putting on a tassel on the front, so the tassel will clip onto this zipper pull. Instead of having a full zipper pull like the ones that we have here for the rest of the bag, this is the type of zipper pull that I use when I attach a tassel, so that you don't have the zipper pull hanging down and then the tassel hanging down past your bag. So we're not putting the tassel on now, but I just wanted to show you that that's the type of zipper pull that I get from Waywack when I use for my tassel. So you're going to need your zipper with the zipper pull on, and you've sewn each end to secure the end. And then you're going to need your exterior front pocket, which is this. Now it goes the longest edge at the top and the bottom and the shortest edge, and it's only a ½ inch difference down both sides. So this is the feature where you want to showcase any kind of piece of your fabric that you want to have prevalent at the front. And then you have your two lining pieces, and it's lining piece 1 and lining piece 2 for the exterior front pocket lining. They're both identical in size, except for one is the lining piece 1 is a ½ inch shorter. Honestly, I just cut the two of them the same size as the front as well. Instead of cutting 3 different pieces, I just cut them the same. So we're going to take the exterior, we're going to take the feature front and put a double-sided tape across the top. I've already marked my centers along the top of each of these pieces. Take the double-sided tape off. When have your, oh, I didn't mark the centers on my zipper. Better do that now. Okay. And then put your zipper teeth down on top of the right side up of your panel. And this should match right up to the edges here. And then take double-sided tape and run it along the top edge of the wrong side of the zipper. So right now the wrong side of your zipper is face up. And then take the right side of your lining and put that down on top of the zipper, the double-sided tape. So right now the right side of your lining and the right side of your feature panel, front panel, are right sides together, so that when you open them up, the wrong sides will wind up being together. And then you're going to stitch that together. Now when I come up to my zipper pull, it is a little shorter zipper pull than what you might be used to, and I have to move that out of the way. And then we're going to fold these wrong sides together. Make sure your edges line up. And I just pull the zipper tape away and help to press it, finger press it down, just to line all that up. And then we're going to top stitch along the top here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so this is what we have so far. And the zipper pull is being pulled to the left, just like all of our other pieces. We are going to put the right side of the other lining piece, the right side up, and put the double-sided tape along the top edge of that piece and pull the backing off. And then we're going to put the, so this is the right side of the inside of the front pocket. This is the right side of the inside of the pocket, making sure I have the, yeah, that's the rough side. Okay, and then lining the centers up, lining the top edges up. And before I sew this, because what you're supposed to now do is sew across the top, come down the edge and baste across the bottom edge. I'm going to put my my bag tag on because I want to make sure I get that on before I forget. So what I do is I use, of course, Gorilla Tape or duct tape. Getting to the end of this roll. And I'll cut 2 pieces just to secure everything in place. And I think I'll kind of put it in the center because too close to the bottom is too close to the stitching. So I'm going to put it in the center. And just line up with the center mark so I kind of know where the center is. Just make a line just so that I have an idea of where I'm going to be putting my bag tag washer. And I'm going to put a piece of the duct tape on this side. Oh, I can see the mark right through here. Perfect. And I'm just going to put that there so that it reinforces the underside. I'm going to line up my washer with the mark that I just made. Just make sure that that's even on both sides. Yep, perfect. And then I'll make, excuse me, the lines here on from the washer. And it'll probably go through to the other side. And I want my fray check as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my seam ripper and just pull away the top piece and just very gently and very carefully make a small slit in the where I made those marks. Any of this pen marking you're not going to see because the tag will cover it. And then I'm going to take my fray check because this is waterproof canvas and it will fray. And I'm just going to put my Dritz fray check over those edges, and it will seep to the back, and that's okay. Soak through. And then I'll open the prongs of my metal bag tag and pop it through those holes. And put the washer on. And then with the metal bag tag, I push the prongs into the center. And then on this side, I just want to make sure that it looks even and straight. And it does. And then I'll take the other piece of duct tape and put it over top of those prongs and the washer so that the lining does not rub against the metal of the prongs and the washer, and it won't fray. Okay, so there I have now my bag tag added, and it does match all these gorgeous colors. So I'm going to sew across the top of the zipper to hold it in place, and then I'm going to baste down all the sides and the bottom. And I'll just do one edge at a time. Making sure that I hold the panels flat. And I'll sew down the other side. I should be basting it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I've been doing 1/4 of an inch. That's okay. And then across the bottom. Okay, so there we have it. And there is our interior pocket, all ready to go. And I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have our zipper pocket, front zipper pocket all done. I've added my bag tag. So now what we're going to be doing, you need your exterior front zip cover. You have one piece, and I am now using the Prairie faux leather from Emmaline Bags in the wood lily color, which is like a burnt orange pumpkin. And then you need your 2 exterior front side bands. So what we're going to do first, just put that aside. We're going to take our the exterior front zipper cover and we're just going to fold it in half. Make sure that the edges meet. Just clip it with 2 clips to make sure, because this likes to spring open. And then clip the edges, the bottom raw edges. Okay, and then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be top stitching 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all along this folded edge. Making sure that you smooth your folded edge down, especially with this fabric, this faux leather. It tends to kind of bump up. So I want to make sure I get a clean, crisp edge as much as possible. And I'm just going to leave it clipped for now. So this is what we have so far. And I'm just going to leave this clipped for now. Then we're going to take our exterior front side bands. Make sure your zipper pull is in the middle so it's out of the way. And then we're just going to line up these edges, top to bottom. Right sides together and just clip them together, starting from the top of the zipper edge, because my pocket edging is a little longer because my zipper is slightly wider. And then take the other piece and do the same for the other side. And then we're going to stitch along both sides at the seam allowance in the pattern. So we're stitching these together now, starting to create our front feature panel. And then do the same for the other side. Starting at the top. All right, and then fold back your side panels, and then we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down both these sides to secure them in place. And as I'm stitching it, I'm just gently pulling the panel away from the seam that we just sewed, just so to make sure I get a crisp edge. And I'll do the same on the other side. So this really looks nice together. These colors look beautiful together. All right, so this is what we have so far. So we have our zipper pocket in the center, and we have our 2 panels sewn across on both sides and top stitched. So now we are going to take our folded front zipper panel cover, and we're going to line it up with the top edge, with the stitched edge down, the folded edge down that we just stitched. See what stitching looks the nicer to see on the top, because that's going to cover our zipper, make it a hidden zipper. And I didn't mark my centers, but that's okay. I'll just start at one edge and clip it on with using the clips I already have. Somehow that's not meeting. Actually, what I need to do is I need to mark my centers, because I may have to trim some off the edge a bit. Okay, just clip the center here. Line up the center. I know my cutting isn't even, so I'm not worrying about that. If I have to trim some off, then I will. And I'm just clipping along the 2 raw edges. All right, so what we are going to do, so I do have some extra edges, extra on the ends, and I will trim that down. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stitching just about 1/8 of an inch, basting it on, just kind of starting down here, working my way up to baste it on the edge, going across the top, and then back down this edge and just going past where it lines up, or where the edge is. And just 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to trim those edges. I'll see. I can probably work those edges into my into my other seam. So just basting this on. If you haven't noticed, I do a lot of working things out on the fly. If it doesn't seem to work out quite the way I want it to, just moving that zipper pull out of the way. I do a lot of eyeballing and it all works out. Okay, I'm just going to move that zipper pull back. Just come down that one side. Okay. Okay. So this is what we have so far. Doesn't that look great? That is just beautiful. So yes, I do know my edges are a little long here, and my bottom is a little long as well, but I'll fix that. I'll see what happens. So this is how it's going to look with that hidden zipper when I put the tassel on. And the tassel that I'm going to be making is going to be out of this pumpkin wood lily faux prairie faux leather. So this is what we have so far. Of course, I'm not going to leave this on at the moment. I just wanted to show you what it was like. And isn't that gorgeous? It's the wrong side, and then I'll be back with the next step. All right, so the pieces that we need now are the exterior back pocket, main panel and the lining, and the exterior back, and it's just one main pattern. So we're going to take the exterior back piece and put it aside for the moment. We're going to take the exterior back pocket, and of course this is directional, so I want this to be the right side up, and we're going to take the lining, and we're going to put both right sides together. Start this again. So we're going to take our exterior back pocket, and with the in the lining of the pocket, put the right sides together and line them up. Clip. I haven't marked the centers on these because they're both the same size. So we have right sides together, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew along the top edge, and then sew it at the seam allowance, and then we're going to flip it and top stitch. So we're making the back divided pocket right now. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so now we're just going to push and see how this all frays. This is how the twill frays, so it's pretty messy. Instead of pulling those edges, I'm just going to trim them off so I don't have any extra edges. Okay, so I'm just going to press the lining up and finger press it away from the seam, and then do the same with the line with the front panel. And what I'm going to do is clip it into place so that I know that the edges are going to be lined up the right way and the sides lined up as well. You could iron this down, especially if if you have cotton. I find that after I get this lined up, if I just use my nail to press it closed, that works too. Okay, so that's what we have, and I'm just going to top stitch just along this top edge. Okay, not sure what was going on with my bobbin, but I wound up top stitching anyways. So there you go, and then we now take the exterior back piece, and we lay that right side up, and then we lay our pocket piece along the bottom edge, line up the bottom edge and the sides, and then we're going to baste that into place. So let's just pin that, line it all up at the bottom. And I don't have my centers marked because these pieces match and meet up quite nicely along the edges. And clip along the bottom as well. So this is where we're going to create our double pocket, and I just want to make sure that we have the right that we are the same measurement all along the top. Perfect. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to baste all around the three sides. Let's hope my bobbin behaves. So I'm just basting at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and just watching that when I come to this top edge where the exterior pocket meets the back, that I don't lose the, I don't have that corner pushed down out of whack. Just making sure that all pieces are kept flat. One more stitch. And there we have a nice big hunk of frayed twill. Yuck. And then just come up the other side. Just making sure everything stays flat. All right, so there we have the back panel, and we have a big, huge slip pocket right now. And now we're just going to divide that. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it in half. Just to make a crease so that it's even down the center. And I'm just going to take my pencil, because you're not going to be able to see it. And I'm just going to line the pencil up along that crease, making sure that my edges are straight. And I'm just going to draw a line down the center. Okay, so we're going to start down from the bottom. I've marked my line that I'm going to be stitching across to create the 2 pockets. Let's hope my bobbin behaves. And I'm just going to make sure I backstitch before and after. And I'm going to go up that line, and I'm going to stitch as far as the top stitching. And then make sure my needle comes up, and then I'm going to lift my presser foot, turn it around, and stitch back down that same stitch line, just to reinforce that pocket, the double pocket now that we've created. All right, so this is what we have now. We have 2 double pockets on the back. All right, so now we're going to need the exterior top band panels, and we have 2 of them. And we are going to need our front zipper pocket, and now our new back double slip pocket pieces. And what we are going to do is we are going to take our panels, and I want to make sure that this goes the right way, and we're just going to attach them onto each piece, right sides together, and sew them on and top stitch. So I want that going that way. So I see this flower, and it's just a lot of clipping. Actually, I can just probably, would be easier, is just to take double-sided tape and run it right across the top. Faster than clipping. Run it right across the top of both. These clips are so noisy. And I've marked my centers on the tops and bottoms of all pieces at this point in time. All right, I'm just working with the back at the moment. Pull the double-sided tape off. Let's go that way and line up the centers and the top edges. On that one, and then do the same for the front panel. And I want to make sure that my flower, when it flips up, goes the right way. Line up my centers and the top edges. The zipper pull is definitely in the way, so you have to keep an eye on that. And sew this down at the seam allowance. Let's hope my bobbin behaves. Okay, I'm just coming up to that zipper pull. I'm going to pull it out of the way because it's too close to that end. Move it back. This is a really sharp looking bag. Just back stitch, and then I'm just going to do the same for the back panel at the same seam allowance. Oh, now my bobbin's not behaving. Must be coming to the end of the bobbin. Here we go. I'm just catching. Okay, and then I'm just going to fold these edges back and top stitch. So these colors, this waterproof canvas and then this Prairie faux leather, the colors really make a gorgeous contrast with each other, and they complement each other so well. Cut that end off. You should see the mess of the floor underneath here where my garbage can is, and I never ever seem to hit it with the ends of the thread that I cut off. That zipper pull out of the way. And we're just top stitching the front panel. Moving the zipper pull out of the way. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at these colors just beautifully go together with this Prairie faux leather in Wood Lily. And that's the front, and now this is the back with our 2 slip pockets, and then I'll be back with where we're going next. Okay, so we have added our top panel to the front and the back, and I forgot all about, I want to show you how mistakes can happen and how I rectified my mistake, because I missed a whole section of the pattern. As I've mentioned before, I am clearly a visual at this point in time in my life. I'm visual, and that's why I absolutely love YouTube tutorials to follow step by step, and not follow a pattern step by step, because I missed a spot. I forgot about sewing the bottom base, the exterior base, onto the front and the back. And what I did was I sewed the two front and backs together, cut out my corners for the box corners, and sewed everything, and then realized I still had the base to sew on. So I want to show you that, yes, I did make a mistake. I am not perfect. And that's how you learn. That's how, you know, I learn, by my mistakes. So what I did was I unpicked it all out. You'll see better on this page. And because I had the corners already cut out, I made a patch for those corners and top stitched the patch on the front. And then in the corner, I added rivets. So it almost now looks like a really cool design feature. So I did that on the front, and as well, I did it on the back, matching the fabric, and riveted it in place. The only thing that this does on the back part, because we had the slip pocket, is it cut that bottom corner out of the slip pocket, but there's still lots of room. So this is my phone. It's a Samsung S25 Ultra now. I got my new phone the other day, and it still slides in with lots of room, even though that corner has now been cut out of the slip pocket. So there's still lots of room in your slip pockets. I just, you know, did the same, made corners just to match as much as I could, and then riveted those corners. So now when it's all sewn together, it's going to look like we have a really cool design feature. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our two exterior back or base pieces, and we're going to line them up onto the front and onto the back. And we'll do the back part first and just line up the centers. And then we're going to just sew them on and then top stitch. And I marked my centers, so now I'm adding the bases the way I'm supposed to. I'm not sure how I missed that whole step. I knew something wasn't right. The bag was too short looking. But like I said, I learned by my mistakes. That's not matching. Oh, there. Okay, so I am just going to sew along with the seam allowance here and here on the front and the back pieces. And we'll just do that right now. I'm having problems with my bobbin, so hopefully it doesn't run out. And then I'm just going to fold that forward and top stitch it to make sure I'm following the pattern the right way. Yeah, so we're just going to top stitch that. And I'm just pulling the base away from the stitch line, just to make sure that it's not puckered in there. You get a nice crisp edge. And then I'm going to repeat for this side, the back piece. Okay, I will be back because my bobbin just did run out. Okay, so I've replaced my bobbin and I finished sewing the two base panels onto the front and onto the back. So now I have them pinned together, making sure that I match these seams at the front and the back and the top, and these seams on the bottom where it joins the bottom gusset. And I'm going to sew within, and I've also got my corners marked out, cut out in the right spot this time on the bottom gusset, the size according to the what's in the pattern. And I'm going to sew along the bottom edge at the seam allowance specified in the pattern. And then I'm going to splay it open and top stitch those edges down. And I just have them pinned right now, just for the time being, but now I have to open it up. I just wanted to make sure that those edges were even. Okay, so now we're going to open it up. So we have the top and the bottom. Actually, before I do that, I am to help keep these secure, because they're a thick seam. I'm just going to put double-sided tape on this side and then this side, so that when I do splay them open, the double-sided tape will help hold it down as before I top stitch it. On the front and the back. All right, so I'm just going to open it up. I'm just going to gently pull it aside, finger press the seam open, and just pull off one side of the double-sided tape, and then finger press it open again, and that'll help secure the double-sided tape down that one side, and then do the same for the other side. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over to the right side. It doesn't really matter if you see the top stitching holding these two edges down. It's just an extra reinforcement because the base panel is going to be, nope, hold on. I'm going to definitely top stitch. See, I have to think about things. It's not all perfect. So I will make sure that I top stitch so that my edges are even on the right side. Because on the wrong side, I'm going to put some foam to have as make a more of a stable base. So I want this top stitching to look good. Oops. There we go. The bottom of this bag does tend to get a little on the slouchy side, so adding that foam as a bottom stabilizer, or you can use Decaville Heavy or a heavy if you have the type of fabric that you can iron it on, but I can't. So this is what we have so far, front and back. It is a big piece. I did go down the center and top stitch those seams open. So now we're going to pull it, we're going to have it open again, and I have a piece of that Annie's, by Annie's soft and steady sew in, and it is a little big for this piece. So I'm just going to cut it down because it's probably too big. It's probably too wide. I'm not going to worry about the width, but I will cut down the end. This does sew into the, it does sew, with my machine, it sews really well. So I'm going to center it there, but first I want to put some double-sided tape all the way down to make sure I keep it secure. I don't want to glue it because the glue will just take too long to dry and it'll just soak in through the foam. So making sure that I have double-sided, I'm going to have quite a few strips of double-sided tape. Unfortunately, I don't have anything thicker than this. So there will be a few strips of double-sided tape. Okay. And just pull all the backing off. Okay, and then I'm just going to center this foam over top of that seam in between where I've got the cutouts of my, for my box corners, and really secure that down. It won't be stitched down. I mean, I guess I could stitch down on either side of it just to be on the safe side. Did I do it on this bag? Yeah, I did. All right, so I'm going to stitch just along here and all the way down, just to stitch it in, just to make sure that it doesn't get, it doesn't come loose. I don't have lines, I'm just aiming for the other edge. I'll just turn it around and then I'll just do the other side as well. Kind of a 1/4 of an inch I'm going in from the corners of the box corners. Like I said, just aiming for the other side. Okay. And the brown thread looks really, really nice on this Wood Lily Prairie Faux Leather, the color. All right, so this is what we have on the right side. So it does add a bit of detail. That's what we have on the wrong side. And I just want you to see what our brand new design feature looks like. My mistake for cutting out the wrong corners, but there we go. I mean, that doesn't look too bad with the rivets in the center. So it adds, you know, we're going to lose some of this as well when we sew the seams down, and there it is on the back. So it just kind of adds a little bit of character, I guess. All right, so now we are going to take the sides. There they are. And we're just going to line everything up. I like to line up, I'm lining up the edges here, the seams, so that when they get sewn together, they're not one higher than the other. Just looking outside, we have a tent caterpillar or some kind of caterpillar hanging from outside here. It is that time of year where all these critters are going to be looking for homes. It was cold this morning. It was 8 degrees Celsius. I thought I could almost see my breath out in the air. Okay, and then I'm going to line up these seams here and here. Make sure that they're even and lined up. And same with here as well on this side. Even my little patches are matching. Yay! I see my patches, the seams on them. You know, even though you make mistakes, there are ways to fix them. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew the side seams at the seam allowance in the pattern. When I get to those seams that I've matched up, I'm just going to go over them. I'm going to back stitch over top of them just to make sure that they get reinforced in there. Getting caught. My clips are catching on the edge of my desk here. And it pulls my stitching out of whack. And then I'll go down the other side. I'm going to start from the bottom since my clips are on that side. Trying to get over that hump. I use my knee lifter to help me get over that hump. Okay. So, okay. All right, so I have the seams done, the side seams all done now. Now I'm going to box the corners just like we did for the interior. So I'm just going to line up that center seam on the bottom with the side seam. Make sure that they're even and they're not out of whack. And then clip. Splaying this side seam open like a butterfly wings so that they reduces the bulk. And the same for the other side. Opening that side seam, and then lining up those seams. All right, and I'm just going to sew those up now at the seam allowance. And I'm going to go over the where the two seams join. I'm going to back stitch over top of those just for added security, and then I'll do that double row of stitching inside the seam allowance, just like we did for the lining. Just to give it a little bit more reinforcement. And then we'll do the other side. Just do that double row of stitching on this side. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have the sides sewn and we have the box corners sewn. And it says to make the strap, but I've already done the strap. Okay, so now we're going to make the strap tabs, which are pretty easy. It's like all the strap tabs. So you just take the two pieces, run double-sided tape down both edges, fold them into the center, and then run the top stitching down. These are pretty easy, just like doing the strap. I didn't draw a center line. I think I can judge pretty good about how much to fold into towards the center. Can't get the backing off. Doesn't want to go. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to fold that in so that the finished strap edge, the strap tab, will be about 1 inch wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down both edges. And then I'm going to go in 1/4 of an inch on both edges. Just to make sure that those inner flaps are held together and that they don't pop open. Okay, so I've done the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on the outer edges, the folded edges, and I'm just going to run 1/4 of an inch seam allowance up both sides. Okay. Okay, so there we have those, and I'm just going to take the lighter just to clean up some of those threads, even though they're going to get sewn into the bag, but just to help seal them. It's the beauty of polyester thread. It melts. Okay, now I'm going to take my D-rings, and I have the gunmetal 1-inch D-ring, and I'm just going to pop them onto the strap. And I'm going to baste the ends of the strap together so that they don't come off, just to secure them. Okay, so we are now going to attach the strap tab. So this is how I have now the D-rings attached onto the strap tab. So now we're going to attach them onto the bag. So we're going to take the exterior of our bag, and now we're going to turn it outside right. We actually kind of get to see what the bag looks like now. Just pop out all my corners for now. We'll be doing that more so at the end. But this is how it looks now, even with my mistake. Of course, the seams aren't all popped out or anything, but see how you've got your edges matching now? Here and here, and then on the bottom, that mistake that I made, it has kind of added a little bit of a feature, and these match and these match as well. So it's kind of added a bit of a feature. So it was kind of a great mistake in a way. Yikes. And there we have it. So now what we're going to be doing, okay, so the strap tabs, we're going to base the strap anchors in place, sewing 2 rows of reinforced stitching with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, but so they're going to go on this way. They're not going to, I am not going to have them right along the edge. That's what she has in the picture here. Let me feel this one. Yeah, I had them hanging down. All right, so I'm going to have it hang up about 1 inch. And then I'm going to clip it into place. Because if it's right along the edge, there's always that chance it can pull out. And we don't want that happening. And then I'll do it on this side, and I'll make sure that that they're even. Splay open your seam allowance, your seams on the inside as well. Okay, just let me match this up and make sure that they're both the same length. And what you're doing is you're centering it over top of this seam. And I'll check the other side too, because I kind of did that one backwards. Just make sure that that's centered. Over top of that seam, side seam. And it's not crooked like this one is. Okay, so now I'm going to do a double basting on this to make sure that it's reinforced. Make sure it stays lined up. I'm going to do the first stitching at 1/8 inch seam allowance. And then I'll go back and do 1/4 inch or just above that 1/8. Oops, something's going on with the bobbin again. You can hear it. Sometimes it can be finicky, not often, but okay, so just let me clip all of my threads. Okay, and I'll do this one. And I may be able to put rivets when it gets turned up. I may be able to put rivets in this as well, just to secure those in there. Excuse me. All right, and I'll just do the second row of stitching. This will all get stitched in when everything gets put together. Okay, so there now is our exterior. There's the front. We have our D-ring connectors all temporarily attached. Okay, and I will be right back. Okay, so now we are going to be putting the exterior and the interior together. So your exterior is wrong side out. Your interior is right side out. Make sure that your interior zipper pocket zipper is open all the way, because this is how we're going to be turning it. I've got the bottom of that pocket open. Make sure when, if you're having your zipper opening from closing from the right to the left, so closing to the left, that when you're looking at your exterior or your interior, the zipper is on the right side. And when you insert it into the bag, you're inserting it so that the back of the bag is up and it's going into the bag that way. So shoving it all in. Watch those D-ring connectors and watch your zipper tabs that they don't get in the way. All right, so what we're going to be doing is a lot of pinning. We're going to be lining up our seams, the side seams, first. Splay your seams open where you can. From your interior and your exterior should already be open, and you're going to line up those seams. And I'm doing it over top of the D-ring connectors at the moment. So now I'm going to be sewing from the inside. So when I put my clips on, the back of the clip, the flat edge is going to be on the exterior side, the outside edge. Making sure that my zipper tabs are pushed down and they're not going to get in the way of my stitching. And I'll line up the sides, that side seam. And then your center marks should all line up. Just clip around. Oops. You can't see her, but just off to my left here, Frankie's sitting there watching. She's supervising, making sure I don't make any more mistakes. Are you a pretty kitty? Are you a pretty kitty? Pretty green eyes. Yeah, you're a pretty girl. Okay, so on this side, lining up my center marks and the edges. Okay, I'm going to sew that according to the seam allowance. And I'm taking this slow to go around. Well, as slow as I have to. In retrospect, I could have put some interfacing along these top panels to make them a little more substantial. Okay, I'm just coming up to that D-ring, so I know my machine's going to fight it, getting over top of all of that bulk. This is where a hump jumper will definitely come in handy. And I mentioned before, I'm not the greatest with a hump jumper, so I wind up using my my knee lift on my machine. And that helps me get through all the bulk and down the other side where it's a little higher. And then I just hand crank around and through all that bulk. And if I have to, if I see any skip stitches, then I'll go back over those places and go from the other direction. This is making a really nice fall, autumn looking bag. Perfect timing for all the craft shows that I have coming up in the fall. Unless I wind up using this as my bag, because I kind of like the look of it. Even with the mistakes I made, it still works. Getting past that D-ring again. The D-ring connector, the bulk of it. Okay, I just want to check those connectors to make sure there aren't any skip stitches. Just want to go over them one more time, just on the inside of the seam allowance, just to make sure that there's no chance that they can come loose. And like I said, if I can, I'll pop rivets in, but I may not have to. All right, we're almost there. We're 95% of the way there. Okay, so I've top stitched all the way around it, or not top stitched, I've sewn all the way around. And now I'm going to pull up my zipper pocket from the inside, and I'm going to grab the bottom, pull everything out, birth this bag. Pull it all through that zipper pocket, tiny zipper pocket. Peeling a banana. Shove it all in. Okay. Woohoo! Not as hard as when I did the Meridius crossbody. Okay, so I'm just going to pop out my corners. And before I sew up this seam on this zipper pocket, I'm going to shove all the entire lining back into the bag because we have to top stitch now. Just grab it from the inside, the lining. It's not perfect or anything at this moment in time. It's all bulgy down at the bottom. And I'm just pulling it down because what we're doing now D-ring connectors are a little long, but I'm going to stick your hand into the pocket, and what we're doing is we're grabbing this edge where these two seams meet on the two top facings, and we're kind of lining up the stitching, and then that's where we're going to top stitch around. So I'll have to be top stitching from, can I do that? Let's see if I can do it from the outside. And just fold it along that seam so that you don't see any wonky seams showing up on the outside. Make sure your D-rings are kept out of the way. Pull your lining down as well so that it doesn't get bunched up underneath where you're going to be stitching. It's kind of a mess inside right now, but and this is what helps to create that inset zipper gusset. Roll your seams to get your to get them to line up a little better, so that they're not bunched. Yeah, these could have been a little shorter, like by an inch. Oh well. Just adds more character. Okay, I'm going to try and top stitch from the outside. That's not going to work. I'll do it from the inside. And I'm going to top stitch at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm going to start on the side so that you don't see my back stitching. I'll do it towards the back, just on the one side of the D-ring connector. Make sure your zipper and your lining is pulled out of the way and nothing gets caught. I'm just going up over top of those D-rings now. Okay, I'm just coming to the last D-ring, just making sure that everything's pulled down and not going to get bulged in there. I'm just hand cranking around that, coming down off that thick edge of the D-ring connector. Okay. I'll just take the lighter to these threads. And then I'm just going to pull up the zipper pocket and close that seam. Now I do have some fraying sticking out here. From that twill. It is quite messy. It is nice though. It really does make a nice lining. And I'm just going to clip off these little corners just so that they sit nicer when I close that pocket. So I'm just grabbing the edges and pulling them together, lining up the seams. And yes, I will be stitching it closed with my dark brown thread. But I do have to say that this twill does make a nice lining. Okay, I'll just stitch that closed, and then all we have left to do is our strap to add that on. Oops, taking off on me here. Almost done. Make sure it got caught, and then I'll just take the lighter to those corners with the threads. And maybe some of those frays. Okay, stuff the zipper pocket back into the zipper. The zipper lining back into the zipper pocket. And shove those corners right down into the pocket. Find it. It's hiding. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to close that zipper pocket now and shove the lining down inside. Smooth everything out. Make sure that zipper pocket on the... Oh, we still have the tassel to make too. Forgot about that. It's not really flat. Okay. A lot of smoothing out with your hands, and I do a lot by feel on the, you know, when I do some of these things. Push that in. Smooth everything out. So this is what we have so far. Doesn't that look amazing? So this is the insect zipper panel, just like that, with our zipper tabs that stick up, and you don't have to go searching for them down in, like a lot of zippers get stuffed down into the holes. These ones sit up so that when you want to open it, you can just quickly grab it and open the zipper. And there it is. There's your front and your back with your slip pockets. And with our gorgeous, our added detail, that was kind of a mistake, but it turned out quite well. So look at the inside of that now. That looks amazing. All right, so now we are going to work on the strap. The strap I've already made, and I'm just going to attach that. I just want to measure it to make sure that it's not going to be too long. cut it off here. I don't need that piece now. Okay, I'm just going to take a flame to the ends here. If I can get my lighter to work. Trim this edge off. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be riveting these, but I want to make some strap ends, just like I did for those. And I'll use the corners from when I did the when I made the cut the what the heck do you want to call it? So when I cut the box corners out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the little square, put it face down onto, or right side down against the right side of the strap, and I'm going to sew it on at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Back stitching before at the beginning and the end. And I'm going to do the same on the other end. It doesn't matter if it's right side or not, just as long as the strap end is going to be right side down. They're both going to look the same in the end. Okay, and then I'll sew that one on as well at 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm not using swivel hooks to clip onto the strap. I'm going to be feeding the strap right through the D-ring connectors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm folding this over like a little taco. So we have it sewn on, and I'm going to lift that up, and then I'm going to take this edge and fold it down to meet this side. And I'm going to fold it over. We're just making a quick little end just to finish that edge. And I'm just going to clip it on both sides for now. And do the same on this side. So we have it stitched here. I'm going to fold it up so the right side is showing. I'm going to take this edge and fold it in and over, so that to make sure that these edges here are matching. This part is not in the pattern. This is just what I'm doing. One of my improvisations, I guess you can call it. And I'm just going to stitch that at 1/8 inch seam allowance, making sure that I catch the front and the top and the bottom of these edges. And get it underneath there. Just to create a cap on the end there. And I'll do the same on the other one. Try and sew it as straight as I possibly can, catching that strap underneath. Now these edges are too long, so I'll trim those off. And I really reinforced with back stitching as well into the strap, so that I wouldn't cut it off and then have it unravel. And then I'll just take the lighter to the edges just to seal those threads and the edges as well. Lighter might be running out. Okay, so this is what we have now. So decide what is, on my strap, I have to just decide what is the right side and the wrong side. And I do have a strap, a tri-glide, okay? So I'm going to feed the tri-glide. I'm going to feed my strap in from underneath. And then over top of the center bar. I better hit the lighter on that thread. And actually, I think I'm just going to sew this down because it's too thin for the rivets. So I'm just going to sew this down and across here with a bar tack. Maybe 2 lines. Just do 1 line forward and 1 line back. And then if I can, I'm going to do it about 1/4 of an inch up from that seam towards the D-ring to get it a little tighter to the D-ring if I can. And I'm just going very carefully, or not the D-ring, I'm sorry, the tri-glide. I'm just going very carefully so that I don't catch that in the stitching and hit my needle on that metal. All these threads. Use my lighter to clean some of this up. All right, and I will be right back. Okay, so we've got the tri-glide sewn onto the strap. So this is the wrong side. You're going to make sure that it's flat. And you're going to take this end of your strap. And it doesn't matter which side you face it on, but I have the front of the bag facing me right now. And from the left side of the D-ring, you're going to feed this strap in from the left to the right. Feed it up to where the tri-glide is. Put that strap in, and on that end of the tri-glide, go over top of the bar. Feed it back through, and I probably have to take the lighter to those ends again. Straighten your strap because it's gone all wonky at the end here. Okay, just going to tighten it a bit. And then I am going to take this end now and feed it from this left side to the right side. And then fold the end up. So that is still the wrong side. The strap connectors are still on the wrong side. So here where the tri-glide is, this one strap connector that we sewed down is on the inside of these 2 straps. And then this one will be on the underside of this one. So I'm just going to sew those down, and you can see that this is fraying. So I'm going to wind up taking the lighter to that just to make sure that it doesn't fray anymore. And I'm just going to stitch this down close to the strap connector, and then as close to the D as I can get to the D-ring as well. Typically, I would have riveted these straps, but this canvas is pretty thin. So if I had had a vinyl or faux leather strap, I would have definitely riveted them. So I'm just doing a fast way. This is how I would do the a webbing as well, if I'm not using the swivel clasps. Okay. And I'll just take the lighter to these ends. Seal those. My lighters are running out. Seal those loose threads. I'm going to just go back over the edges of those strap ends to seal those frayed edges. If you want, you can edge paint these as well. I've never edge painted anything. Okay, there we have our bag, and our strap is now attached, our adjustable strap. Look at that. Doesn't that look just beautiful? I love the colors. And our little mistake detail actually turned out to look pretty good. All right, so there's the strap. It of course matches the accent panel. Now we have our tassel to make, so I'll be back with that. Okay, so now we're on the last stage of our bag, and we are going to make the tassel for the front feature. So I just used my 5x5 inch ruler and cut a square. Then you measure down a 1/2 inch, and I just draw a line, and then I make approximate 1/8 of an inch strips with my rotary cutter all the way around. Now this, depending on how thick this is, I may wind up having to cut some of this off, and I've had to in the past. So what I do is I've got double-sided tape here. I peel off the backing of the double-sided tape, and then I tightly, I can get the tape off. Here we go. Oops. And then I start to tightly roll it into itself, starting at the one end, and really, really make sure that I roll it as tight as I can. Squishing it down and keeping that top edge aligned with the edge of the tassel that you're rolling, so it doesn't go all looking like a cone sticking out. Tassels are really simple to make once you get the hang of them. And this may wind up being too big because I know that this faux leather, and of course I'm making it out of the Prairie faux leather in Wood Lily, because the front of the bag has that night plants faux, or the canvas. So now here's the tassel. Clearly that's too big. So I'm going to start trimming it down to see if, see how much I have to trim it down by. So I'm going to just kind of look at the circumference here. I'll trim it down by about 1.5 inches. And see if that will fit in there dry fitting. Nope, so I'm going to have to, I'll take another 1/2 inch off. This is normal. 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch off, and see if that will fit in there now. And maybe 2 more strips just to make sure. Let's try just 1 and see where it goes. I almost have enough left over for another tassel. And 1 more. Okay, so dry fitting it into the hole. There, now it slides on. And we have a hole in here. I've kind of got the back of the, where I ended, cutting off those edges towards the back. And that's where the hole is, where you're going to put the screw in. But before we do that, before we put the screw in, we're going to take our fabric glue. And I'm going to just put about a couple of drops into the bottom. At least this one is easier to get into than the strap connectors. And just put a blob in there because it will squish up around the tassel end. And that'll help secure it in there. And just keeping in mind where the hole is and where that edge is here. I'll feed it back through, kind of squishing it in there, rotating it. Lots of glue coming out now. Get my Kleenex. That's okay. It all cleans up. But that just, the glue just helps to set the tassel in there, because the screw just won't be enough. That glue can be cleaned up. So now I'm going to take my little electric screwdriver, and the screw is quite long. It's quite long, way longer than what you have for your strap end connectors, because this has to get right through all of those layers that we rolled up, right down to the other end of this tassel. And if you might have to use your awl to squish a hole in there, this is going to roll. This is the hard part. It does roll around because it's round. So I've got to get a good grip on it. Good grip on that screw and push. There we go. Oops. Just going to come back out a little bit and see if that helps get it down more. My dad would be so proud of me. I always said to him, tools were boring, but boy, I'll tell you, this stuff is fun. I'm using a rivet press. I'm using an electric screwdriver. And I will have to manually screw that in with this. Let me just take it out a little bit. Twist it as I'm using the motor on this. Has a lot of torque built in. This works. This is working pretty good doing it this way. I should have figured that out a long time ago. Okay. Make sure the light's off. And there is our tassel. I'll just clean up that glue. There's our tassel, all done. Let's get our bag. Oops. All right, I'll have to get that after. Okay, and I'll clip the tassel onto the zipper pull. And I'm going to leave it that length, I think. Doesn't that look amazing? I am loving this bag so much. The color combination with the night plant waterproof canvas and the wood lily color of the Prairie Faux leather from Emmaline Bags. And just let's move you up so we can see things a little better. Now you can see me. Okay, so here is our Aspen Crossbody Bag from Emmaline Bags Patterns. And this is, of course, the waterproof canvas in night plants. And this is from Emmaline Bags. This is the Prairie Faux leather in the color Wood Lily from Emmaline Bags. And the interior is the mauve or lavender twill that we use. So here we have our front and back, and look at how the feature Our new feature from the mistake that I made looks on the front and on the back. You can't see it as much on the back. Well, you won't see it because it'll be against you. But that really turned out, it turned out pretty good. I'm actually pleased with the mistake I made. So here, this bag, of course, we added the tassel because I used a different type of zipper pull. And there's the zipper on the hidden zipper, which has lots of room. I don't think it's big enough to put your phone in. Oh, you know what? My phone will just fit in their kitty corner. So my phone, which is the biggest phone, it's a Samsung S25 Ultra. It actually fits in their kitty corner, not horizontal, but it does go in kitty corner. And I've got to just get it out of there now. Okay, so that fits in there. So, but there's lots of room for this to put your keys or whatever else in here. And if you have a smaller phone, smaller than mine, because mine is a large phone, it will fit in here perfectly. And on the back, of course, we have the adjustable strap as well, done in the night plants. And on the back, we have 2 slip pockets, which are large enough for your phone, especially my phone because it's so big, and your sunglasses or whatever else you want to put in here. And then when we open it up, we have this beautiful inset zipper gusset that sits down here. So say you had a bottle of water, like I was saying at the beginning, pretend that's a bottle of water. I just can pop it there and it'll sit there while I'm wearing the bag. And then I have a bottle of water handy, handy right where I want it to be. So here is the front of the bag, of course, and then here is our inset zipper panel and our zipper tabs. And undo the zipper, and you don't have to find or look for your zipper tabs down in here to open up your bag. Lots and lots of room in this. This is the small, and there's tons of room in here. This is a great size everyday bag. So this is the mauve or lavender twill. Beautiful, nice structure to it. No need to interface it at all. And I didn't put the slip pocket in that the pattern called for. I didn't add the slip pocket because we already have 2 pockets on the back and a zipper pocket on the front. But I did add the other zipper pocket because you do need that in order to berth the bag. And then it has a nice size zipper pocket in here. And of course, on the interior, you can see my Made in Canada label sewn in to the side. This is a beautiful bag. Let's just see how it looks on. Of course, I'm going to be covered in twill. Oh, my daughter's calling me. Okay, so let me just tilt you up a little bit. And here, look at this. I don't want you to see me in the mirror. Look at that. What a nice, gorgeous bag. Look at how it looks with my fuchsia purple. But there, I might have this as my new bag. I say that with everything. Oh, and the zipper pull I've got going the wrong way. Oh, well, you can't see it. I thought I was having it go the right way, but actually, I prefer the zipper pull on this side. So, but that's okay. And then this zipper pull is going on this side. You know what? That's okay. You're not ever going to see it. So there it is. And of course, with the adjustable strap, for when you want to make a crossbody, because it is the Aspen Crossbody. Look at that. Doesn't that look gorgeous? I really love this bag. Okay, so let me grab my chair. And I'll just tighten up the strap. So if you haven't made this bag, see, I had this pattern when I first started bag making 2.5 years ago. This pattern I said earlier came out in 2018 with the Bag of the Month Club from Emmaline Bags. And it's It's a bag of the month club where every 3 months you get 3 mystery patterns. You buy $25 maybe Canadian into a 3-month block, and each beginning of each month, so September 1st, we're getting a new pattern. It's a mystery pattern. And this was one of them, but this was before I became a bag maker. And I won this pattern, the Aspen Crossbody pattern, when I first joined the Bag of the Month Club. And the bag that I made, which was whatever the bag was at that time, and I won the pattern for this bag, but I never made it. I just like the the quiver sling from Country Cow Designs that I've already done a tutorial on. That was a Bag of the Month pattern as well. That was one of the first patterns from when I first joined the Bag of the Month Club, and I had that for the 2 years and never made it. So then I made it finally for the tutorial. And this one, I had it for the longest time as well, and I didn't make it. But then I've made quite a few of them, including this one. See the difference depending on what the fabric is? Like, it makes a big difference of how things look with the fabric. So I hadn't made this at all, and then all of a sudden I just thought I'd pull it out, about a year ago, and I started making them, and they are a good seller at craft shows. So this one, of course, I added the tassel to it as well. But this is a really, really great pattern. So this is the small, and the small measurement is, let me grab my pattern. The finished measurement for the small is 9 to 10 inches wide at the bottom by 10 inches high by 3 inches deep approximately. And the large is 10.5 by 11.5 inches wide by 11 inches tall by 3.5 inches deep. Honestly, this is a really nice size bag, and it's a good slouchy bag. I didn't do any interfacing other than putting the foam in on the base. But you know what? Get this pattern if you haven't got it yet. I'll be linking the pattern in the description box below. The Aspen Crossbody from Emmaline Bags. Get your pattern now and make it as well. This is a beautiful pattern to make, and look at the fall colors. It's perfect for the fall. So thanks a lot for joining me on this tutorial, and we will see you the next time.